If we're not collaborating, we can get into timelines that create risk. Things show up and it takes a great amount of time. Ed and I were talking yesterday about one group that had things arrive on the dock, and it was a few months before they could power it up and cool it. And that was mainly because of equipment that wasn't in place, but it was primarily because nobody was communicating. There's a budget cycle. People think about what they're going to buy next year in the budget cycle. That's the time to be talking. Maybe they don't know exactly what they're going to buy, but they know they're going to have X amount of dollars in the server area, in the network area, in the mainframe area, whatever storage, whatever you're using in your data center. And that translates to a certain amount of square footage, rack units, or power that they can reasonably eat up inside of that budget. So that's a high-level guideline for you to be able to figure out up to a year in advance what's going to be hitting. We referred earlier to escalating an unnecessary project and resource costs. Rework costs an immense amount of money. When you're doing a data center build and you get a cost agreement up front before you start, everything from that point on is change order. Change orders are loved by your construction folks. They're hated by your financial folks because a change order generally costs a lot more individually than if it was part of the design up front. Then you get the diminished return on that investment from rework when you build a wall 2 or 3 times because you had to tear it out and add in a cooling plenum or electrical that wasn't in the wall to begin with. That causes you to begin to spend 2, 3, 4 times as much on a given item. And you can wind up with a final deliverable that won't do what you need it to. How many of us know what kind of a cooling system we're going to be looking at needing for the next 5 years? Air, water. There's water-cooled equipment's making a big comeback in a lot of arenas. If you don't have any availability of that, it's not the end of the world, but what would you do if you had to have it quickly? If you get together a group when you're in the planning phase for your data center and align project objectives with those responsible parties, you get input from the network engineering folks, input from security, input from asset management, where they feel like things need to be located so that you can distribute evenly and grow evenly in a scalable manner. You start to become in control of this bigger picture of how does the data center work from inception to production. Your server environment folks can play a lot in this. Individual servers, virtual machines. Is it something that we can virtualize and condense? We could maybe do a hot aisle containment and drive our efficiency up. A lot of times your virtualized boxes show up in a rack that they buy from the vendor. The rack that you spec'd might not match. Now you have a containment with curtains that come down at the 7-foot level because all of your racks are standard 7-foot racks, but this particular device they bought's only 6 foot tall. Now you've got a problem with your containment not keeping your hot aisle. Air mixing efficiency starts to go down, and the return on investment for your highly efficient data center begins to get sullied with that loss of efficiency.